Hello, everyone, again. Thank you for joining us. My name's Nate Schwartz, and I am the youth coordinator for the Bridges to the Future program with Muscular Dystrophy Canada here in BC. This is our second CSIL session. Um, so let's get serious about CSIL Session 2. What is CSIL? We'll talk about what it is, if it's right for you, and how it works. With me today, I've got Paul Gauthier from the Individualized Funding Resource Center, as well as Greg, our wonderful technical support and information guy as well, and Mike Klinkhammer from Vancouver, and uh, and we will. He's been a long time CSIL user, so he's going to add his thoughts as well. So with just a few housekeeping things as we go forward, CSIL is primarily a BC program. We are aware that there might be people out there that are not in BC, but don't fret, we are a national organization, so if you're not from BC, leave us a comment. We'll get you in touch with the people in your area, and we'll get you on your way as well. So don't fret, and enjoy the show. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of talking. So I'll pretty much pass it over to Paul now, and maybe a quick introduction to Mike as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Nate. And this has been a great partnership between the Muscular Dystrophy Canada and the Individualized Funding Resource Center. So we've been excited. The last webinar we did was on the housing side, and this time we're going to get right into what is a CSIL program and how to work on managing to get the support hours that you may need. So really excited about today, Nate, so thank you very much for getting this rolling. So Mike is with us. Mike has he knows both organizations very well. He knows the Muscular Dystrophy Canada and the Individualized Funding Resource Center. He's been getting services from both organizations and is definitely a CSIL employer and has been very successful on that. So Nate, maybe you can shoot into Mike there, and Mike, if you just want to do a little intro of yourself. And Mike has a mic on. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, I just kept it muted so you could finish your talk there. Anyway, I guess I've been on the CSIL program since 2014 basically, and yeah, I guess the big thing I can talk about, I guess for me, just briefly off the top of my head, is just how much I've actually enjoyed the program, enjoyed being on it, the extra freedom I get, and being able to choose who I work with, and I guess part of that too is when I work with them, and that is been really unbelievable. I don't think I could probably talk a long time about how much I enjoy it, but that's kind of it in a nutshell, so to speak.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks for joining us live today.
Of course.
And thanks, Nate, for shooting us all around there, going back and forth between us all. So we're going to shoot on to the slide presentation. And so I've been, from the last workshop, I may have mentioned that I've been involved with the CSIL program from the conception and in the development of the program and seeing it to being where it is today. And the CSIL program's over 20 years old. And can I get you to, Nate, move on to the PowerPoint for us? Yeah, so are we over to the PowerPoint? But I'm not sure if we're seeing the PowerPoint or not, but I'll just carry on.
It should be there, yeah.
Okay. And so the CSIL program, for those that don't know what the CSIL program is, the CSIL program stands for Choices in Support for Independent Living. And it's what's great about this program is an option. It's a different option for receiving home support. Basically, the funding comes directly to the person with a disability, and where you are able to manage your own services. So, instead of having the funds go to an agency, which in previous times where the dollars go directly to them, you can actually have the dollars come directly to you, and then you would go out and hire the caregiver of your choice, and be able to handle all components. I'm going to get into that a bit more afterwards. But what's great is that this program was established by the Ministry of Health in 1994. And what was awesome is that there was three of us, Joanne Neubauer, Brian Cruikshank, and myself, that actually were sitting at the table when the Ministry of Health was looking at how can we improve home support. And the three of us were able to put a very clear vision forward about individualized funding. And that is how the CSIL program became born, is because the Ministry of Health of the time decided to hear and listen to what people with disabilities had to say, and we actually worked together to create the program. Home support, you know, most people talk about, the freedom that it provided and the autonomy, that it provides by letting us decide who's going to work for us, when they're going to work for us, and how they're going to work for us. It's very exciting. So let me tell you, though, how does it work? So for those that don't know, in British Columbia, we have 5 health authorities. Basically what happens with those health authorities is that there's a case manager that gets assigned to you, and that case manager works with you to determine and approves the number of hours that you're going to receive. And then at this point, then a decision after your hours have been determined will be determined if you will go to be with an agency, where again, it's somebody gets provided to you by a company, and there's usually set times for when they would come within an agency system, or the CSIL program, where the funds come directly to you and you manage all aspects of your support. So, but the first step really is around working with the health authority and being able to communicate with the health authority about what your needs are. Let's take a look at the next slide, where we take a look at a bird's eye view. So this is you on the CSIL you, the CSIL employer, and then you've got the case manager, who's the person that is your direct contact for your home support, or if there's changes to your health, those kinds of things, you can go back to your case manager and communicate with them about your needs. And they're the ones that you request to go on to the CSIL program. There's a CSIL coordinator that administers the CSIL program within the Ministry of, within the Health Authority. And then, above that CSIL coordinator is the Health Authority, where the actual region itself, operates the CSIL program. And then there's the Ministry of Health that's on top, and that's where all the policies and everything gets put into place for the health authorities to follow. So that kind of gives you a bit of a bird's eye view of how things kind of flow. And I always like to put us as people with disabilities right on the top. And so when we look at the eligibility, which is our next slide, so you have to be 19 years or older, and you need to have significant hours of personal care. Apologize for that. Personal care, and what does significant mean? And significant is defined very differently depending on which health authority you're in. Each health authority does do it a little bit differently, but generally you need to have about 2 hours a day. So needing about 2 hours of service every day is usually around the amount. There's been exceptions where, where we've seen fewer hours for people to be able to go on the CSIL program. But generally 2 hours a day, and you need to have the services every day. So there's two ways to go on to the CSIL program. You can manage it through being a direct employer. This is where you yourself um, actually operates everything and willing to be able to manage all aspects of the funding and support. So, being in charge of the payroll and keeping track of all of the different components. But of course, you can hire a bookkeeper to assist you with the financial reporting. But a lot of people get really concerned, can I be a direct employer? There seems like a lot of responsibilities, but you are able to delegate things like payroll and recruitment facilitation. Recruitment facilitation is where you could actually have someone to assist you with the hiring aspect. I should mention that the Individualized Funding Resource Center does do both bookkeeping and recruitment facilitation. So you're always welcome to give us a call in regards to that. That's our little plug for Individualized Funding Resource Center. So being a direct employer means that you're in charge of it all. So it doesn't matter if you're actually hiring a payroll or anything. At the end of the day, the buck stops with you. Now there's another area where there's a client support group. And a client support group can be formed when you're not always able to manage all aspects of things. So perhaps they're, depending on energy and just the ability, sometimes you want somebody else to be able to manage it for you. You can form a client support group. And basically, this is forming a board of directors of about 5. You have to have 5 people as part of a nonprofit society that gets formed. And then it operates with the 5 people to help you manage. This can be a good way when you have a good team of people around you, a lot of friends and family. But for some people, they feel that, forming a client support group can be overwhelming, trying to get that many people to be involved. But if you've got those people involved, that's fantastic. So the client support group is something that if you choose that you're not able to manage it all yourself. If we turn the slide, there's also a representation agreement. So if indeed you don't want to form a client support group, you could also form have a rep agreement, which, by the way, we recommend all people with disabilities to have a representation agreement. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to be able to designate certain components of your life to be able to be assisted by somebody else. So in this case, around the CSIL program, you could actually designate someone else to help manage your CSIL program when you are not able to. And you can set up those parameters. So there's 3 options. There's the being a direct employer, where you manage it all on your own with some supports if you need it in regards to hiring payroll people and recruitment facilitators. There's the client support group of the nonprofit society. And the third option is the representation agreement, where you could designate one person to help you with things. So I hope that it's clear. Yes, please.
Is it advisable that it's family and friends that do the CSG and the rep agreements, or can it be someone else, or what if you don't have anybody?
Well, Greg, that's a great question. When it comes to the client support group, it is advisable that it's people that you know, because it's got to be people that you trust, right? That are going to be able to follow what you're hoping that they're going to respect in regards to helping you with this. So, that they know you enough of the kind of care aids that you're looking for, that they're going to help you with your kind of lifestyle. So, if you don't have a good group of people that can come together, that's when the representation agreement really becomes essential, I think, for someone, because you can just designate one person, Greg, to do that. We're also finding that a lot of people are choosing to move towards a representation agreement rather than a client support group because it's less paperwork overall, right? I mean, when you have to form a client support group and add 5 people, and you do have to have annual general meetings, and you have to have ongoing components. So there's a fair bit of work in regards to developing a client support group, where with the representation agreement, once it's set up, you pretty much just have that one designated person to assist you.
Right.
And I think, Greg, one more thing I would say is that a lot of times within the client support group, as much as you really want all 5 people to help out, it's probably usually only 1 or 2 that end up doing most of the work at the end of the day.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so great question. Thank you.
Okay.
So, you know, we talk about, the benefits. Mike was talking a little bit about that at the beginning. That the CSIL employers really overwhelmingly rate the program as excellent. In the first few years that it was in existence, there was a survey, and it was incredible, the survey that came out. And also the Spinal Cord Injury BC did a survey of the CSIL program as well, probably about 7 years ago. And many people talk about the CSIL program as being night and day compared to the agency system. And I know that Greg is about to put on a video here, and this video that we're about to show was a video for a little campaign that I was running in regards to a vehicle conversion thing, but that's no longer there. But the video is excellent because there was people with disabilities that spoke about the CSIL program, and I thought I would share it with you because it just really talked passionately about the CSIL program and how it's changed people's lives.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul Gauthier, and I'm so excited to be part of the Mobility Awareness Campaign and the opportunity to win an accessible vehicle. I have cerebral palsy, and all that means to me is that I use an electric wheelchair to get around. I'm currently working on developing a new nonprofit organization that is going to help people with disabilities and seniors to be able to live independently in the community.
13 years ago, Paul Gauthier wheeled into my life and changed it forever.
He helped me also get onto the CSIL program, which allows me to be able to work full-time and have my own care.
His expertise and knowledge of programs and policies within the CSIL program really helped me find the confidence in myself to talk to government. He came and freed me from potentially being in a nursing home. Today I live independently with 24-hour support, and I feel very confident, very active.
And it allowed me to be as independent or normal as possible.
I was able to not just continue with my life, but make a difference in the lives of others. And to him, I always get emotional. I am forever grateful.
When I first met Paul, he was a single foster father to Derek, who was an 11-year-old boy with an anxiety disorder. Due to his anxiety, Derek was unable to communicate, but Paul provided him with a supportive and loving home. Now Derek is a functioning adult out there in the community, and I know that Paul's contribution to his life made that possible.
There we go. There's my guy. Come on up.
Yeah, that's my little guy, Mateo, and I like to show this video because, for me personally, if it wasn't for the CSIL program, I wouldn't be able to achieve as much as I've been able to do. Being a foster parent of that young boy that you saw in the video, and then having my little guy, Mateo, who's now 4.5 years old, and being a Paralympic athlete, so the ability to travel around the world and be able to be involved in participating in society. I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for the CSIL program. It is an incredible program. Mike, I'm not sure if you wanted to say any more words in regards to how it's benefited you.
Well, I guess a lot of it for me, I guess just the knowing that I could have that extra flexibility, because I guess lately I've had a lot of changes in my health, as you know, Paul, but lately, and I think a lot of that too. I don't know. Just I keep thinking of comparing it to what it was like in the assisted living facility I was living in before. I mean, thankfully it was a pretty good place and was oriented towards people with disabilities, but it seems like so much of it is so restrictive. You feel like you're there on the schedule of other people and a schedule of when the care people are coming in and when is a reasonable time for you to go to bed to be able to get care and things like that. Like, I found that flexibility was just not there, and honestly, I don't know how anyone would be able to, in that situation, hold any sort of job or employment or anything like that, or have the freedom to live where they want to live and how they want to live, because there's just so much kind of restriction there. And I found the CSIL program really freed me up to do the things that I want to do, things I enjoy doing them, and how I enjoy doing them. And it's been, I mean, absolutely great, and just exactly what I needed at exactly the right time.
Fantastic, Mike. Thanks for sharing that. And Greg, I know that, you've been helping so many people out at the Individualized Funding Resource Center. And is there any comments that you have in regards to some of the clients or some of the new CSIL employers and stuff? And what have you seen any differences?
I have seen a lot of differences, and a lot of people are so appreciative, and CSIL really changes lives and for the better. And as the office manager, I'm working on care plans, and I'm seeing real changes. And like Nancy said in the video, I see people becoming more confident when approaching health authorities and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. And I think, Mike, you hit it on the head. You have the control when your support's going to happen and how it's going to happen and who's going to do it for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you really can choose, who the people are, and and in your case, when someone's going to be around for 24 hours, they got to be people that have the personalities that you're compatible with. Mike, as well. I think that's probably a real
exactly, and that's why you need to have that choice too, to be able to get the people that you need that are able to work with you and that you can work with as well.
Yeah, and you pretty much, Mike, have designed your own job description, and and have been able to figure out what activities and priorities and values that are important to you. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, again, I think the renewed sense of freedom and control and the independence that many people with disabilities simply do not have when dealing with an agency-centered care system, right? I mean, the CSIL program just puts you in the center, you're the employer, and you're able to make the decisions that are important to you. So, of course, we've just spoken the last 5 minutes or so about how wonderful and how great the benefits are of the program. Of course, the program has its challenges, and the CSIL program does operate under many of the same rules as standard home support delivery, and some people feel that they don't necessarily receive the ideal number of hours for their needs. I think a lot of people say that's both on the CSIL program and agency service, but that is definitely something that is a challenge for people. CSIL is not administered provincially wide anymore, because originally it was a provincial wide, operated all from Victoria, and now it's probably over the last 16 years or so has been through the health authorities. And and so it does vary. Your ability to be able to get your hours vary sometimes depending on what health region you're in. It's not supposed to whatsoever. You're supposed to get, what you would get in Vancouver is the same hours that you should be able to get in Fraser Health or north or in the north, and but that's something that continues to be a bit of a challenge when moving from one region to another. And then the energy and the time that goes into managing your own CSIL program. It is like running a small business, and it takes time to get it to work out smoothly. And Mike, I'm sure that happened with you right at the beginning, right? That it took time to kind of get it rolling and stuff, and a lot of energy. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, and sometimes I find that's still kind of an ongoing thing. I'm learning things as I go every day, I think. Well, not every day, but most days I think I am.
Mike.
Just about the challenge of getting used to being able to being a manager and kind of, I guess, stretching a bit, because I know I still am not the best at having to any form of confrontation or anything that even might be construed as a slight confrontation. Sometimes I've had issues. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I found that since I went in the program, I've gotten way better at dealing with that and managing that aspect of it. And for some reason, I really like doing the management part. I like being able to, go through and do the interviews and talk to people and find out who's going to work well with me and maybe who might not. And yeah, just going through the whole process of, I guess, yeah, like a small business, like writing checks and organizing the accounting stuff and all that fun stuff.
For sure. And so, Mike, it takes time. It's not like overnight that you.
Oh, it's definitely not overnight. That is for sure.
You learn the skills as you go, and and I think that's something to recognize, that you're at the beginning. There's a lot of bumps on the way, right, as we're learning, and
yeah, I think continuing. No, yeah, working with you guys at IFRC and stuff, that was kind of a crash course, because I think we got everything. Well, when I finally found the place, so I think we got everything organized in like a month or less, I think.
Yes, I mean we were. That was pretty crazy, Mike. I mean, we did that in an amazing short period of time, and so you've had a crash course, and I think it's a great opportunity to have webinars like this where we can talk about the different things and the different issues, and through this next half hour, we're going to really talk about how to plan for it a bit, even more so than at the time you had, Mike, to kind of plan. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
So let's, looking back at our slides here, so we're going to talk a little bit about some misunderstandings, and then we're going to get right into the preparation stuff as well. So when we talk about the CSIL program, there's a misunderstanding about, it says funding for CSIL comes from the same budget as funding for regular home support. Some people have the misunderstanding that there's a separate CSIL budget for the CSIL program, and that's not the case. The CSIL program comes out of home support in general, and that there's never not enough CSIL funding in regards. Well, when I say not enough CSIL funding, home support and CSIL come from the same source of funding. So if there's not enough CSIL funding, there's not enough home support funding in general. But the CSIL program comes out of the same budget. There's no wait list for the CSIL program. There's not to be a wait list. There may be the possibility that it would take time to process your application, but the Ministry of Health policy is that there is not a wait list for home support. And if there's a wait list for the CSIL program, that means there's a wait list for home support, and that's not to be the case. There is no Ministry of Health policy regarding a need to be on agency delivered service for 6 months, period. So that's not a Ministry of Health policy. Some health authorities have spoken about this to some individuals, but it's not a policy that you have to have agency service. You can officially go onto the CSIL program if you've got the necessary skills and you've done your preparation and stuff. There, it can be looked at. And the other thing is that there is no cap on hours, but of course there is a resource issue as funding is very tight in all health authorities. So, you know, some people have heard that, you know, that you can get a maximum of 4 hours a day. There's no maximum of 4 hours a day. There's different categories, levels that the Ministry of Health has put forward as suggestions, which we will take a look at shortly. But there is no cap. But definitely funding's tight in all the health authorities, and you need to be able to present your case to why you need X number of hours. Does somebody want to make a comment there? I wasn't sure if somebody was.
No, I'm just listening, just agreeing.
Okay, great. So what does a CSIL employer do? Let's talk about that a little bit. We talked about how it's like running a small business, and we talked about how there's a learning curve, you know, and Mike and I both gone through it, and even 20 years later, I'm still going through my learning curves, you know. I'm changing things all the time. But as we've talked about, is that success does come over time, and you will get over those bumps. But, you know, so what you need to do really is to prepare a detailed care plan or support plan, which really outlines your weekly needs, you know, your daily needs, you know, that you talk about all the personal supports that you require. And we're going to get into that more in a moment. As an employer, it's about, you know, getting a job description for your employee. So outlining the attendance responsibility, what skills and experience do you expect them to have to be able to work for you. And that's thinking through things like, and again, in the next episode, we'll do even more of this, but that's thinking about, do you want somebody that has a certificate? Are you okay to hire somebody that is new and that you will do a lot of training to be able to get them into being able to work with you and stuff. So I look forward to discussing that in our next episode. Talking about, you know, in our next episode too, about interviewing, hiring, managing, and training attendants. Those are things that you have to be responsible for as a CSIL employer. So scheduling your attendance and managing payroll, that's another component that you're responsible for. And then being a lawful employer. So understanding and meeting labor standards, WorkSafe, BC, human rights, you know, you can't discriminate, you know, against people for different reasons. You need to understand the income tax a little bit and privacy requirements. So those are definitely things that you know, being a CSIL employer are things that you have to do. Does it sound overwhelming at the moment when I've just read that kind of thing out? Absolutely, and it does sound overwhelming, but you can break it down into components. And a lot of people talk about, you know, once they start getting this up and rolling, it becomes so much easier. So yes, those first few months, it'll be a bit hectic and a bit of quite a bit of learning curve. But once you've got the caregiver in place that is the person that you want, things start to move more smoothly. But don't want to hide the fact that it does take a commitment of your time to get things put together. Last thing I want to mention is that there is bookkeeping and ministry reports. So that means that you do have to hand in a monthly statement every month that shows where the money has gone, that you've paid your personal attendance, and that the funding has been spent where it needs to be spent to. And again, a payroll person can be hired unless you've got the skills to be able to do that.
Paul,
Yes.
I was just going to ask, now I know we as IFRC assist individuals with the human resources side, like interviewing, hiring, managing staff, but aside from us, are there any other avenues to learn those skills and get that extra training, or is it something you just kind of learn as you do it yourself?
Well, great question. First of all, Greg, first of all, through us at the Individualized Funding Resource Center, we do workshops on a regular basis, and you definitely, people can choose to take part in those workshops. The other thing is that there is online materials, both at the Spinal Cord Injury BC website, as well as our website, which is the IFRC Society.org. So ifrcsociety.org. You can go to our website, and there's an online manual that was done in partnership with the Spinal Cord Injury BC that actually goes through being an employer and goes through a lot of the material that we're speaking about today. So definitely you can access that, and it's done in an education module format. The other thing is that some people have taken small businesses, courses and stuff at community colleges and things like that. I don't think you need to go that far, but some people have done that. So,
Right.
But definitely the resources that are on the website would be a very good thing for people to do.
For sure.
So in regards to preparation, you will need to meet with your case manager to request to go onto the CSIL program, or request home support hours. So if you're not getting home support hours, you need to start the process. And if you do not feel that you have enough hours, you still may want to communicate with your case manager. But before you meet with your case manager, you want to be sure to understand and know all of what is needed. So knowing the number, you got to have an idea of what the number of hours that you feel that you would need to be successful. And by doing that, you need to prepare a supported lifestyle plan. But we talked earlier about how there's no minimum or maximums, for the program, but there are guidelines. So if we can...
And Paul, if you don't, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to add to the supported lifestyle plan. Just keep in mind almost every health authority calls it something slightly different.
Absolutely, and that's the time task analysis that Mike is referring to. And we're going to come right into the time task analysis and the supported lifestyle plan in a second, but Greg is going to put onto the screen now a Ministry of Health guideline document that Nate is going to click onto Greg so that we can see that document. Mike, are we just seeing your wonderful face, or do we have Greg's stuff coming up?
I see Greg's face. I don't see.
Oh.
Let's see.
Okay, so he's going to be coming on shortly. There, but the
Okay, I see it. Does everyone see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, you do, eh? Because I'm not seeing it, so I'm not sure if that's because we are. Let's see here. Let me just pull up mine then. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just clicked over to Greg's screen there, and it popped up.
Okay. Now, I think we're shooting mainly on you at the moment. Unless
Nate to adjust something.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Nate has got it going now.
Oh, that's what, geez, you guys have been staring at me the whole time, I think.
Absolutely. We have been looking at it the whole time, Mike, and you're looking great, by the way. I got to tell you. So,
well, thanks. I hope my apartment met your approval.
Absolutely, completely got my approval. So
you're looking good, buddy. You're looking good.
So the Ministry of Health guidelines, I want to be able to show this to you. You can ask us for a copy of this. We can send this over to you. It is on the Ministry of Health website as well. But these are 4 categories of need. You'll see along the top, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. And each of these kind of go through what is the area to be able to go to a different category of hours. So as we go down, a lot of it becomes the components of the overnight aspect. But as you will see in category number 1, if you meet the eligibility with that, you can get anywhere from 0 to 4 hours a day. In level number 2, from 0 to 8 hours a day. And then in level number 3, up to 10 hours a day. And then if you're in category 4, you can get up to 14 hours a day. And so, these are guidelines. The health authorities can utilize these guidelines. It's what's recommended by the Ministry of Health. You'll see that the category 4, to get up to 14 hours, it talks a lot about people on ventilators, needing suctioning, needing more than greater than 2 turnovers per night, and that there's been other options looked at, such as turning beds and things like that. But this is a document that I think is people should be aware of, and it kind of helps you recognize that people can get access to more hours, but you really have to be able to present your case so that the case manager who comes to see you really understands your needs. And sometimes a case manager comes and asks a bunch of questions and you haven't had a chance to really think about it. The more you have a chance to think about it and be able to present it, the case manager then can be able to take that information and go back to the people that she needs to speak to about being able to explain your needs. A lot of people see the case manager as the bad guy, the person that, that is stopping you from getting your hours and stuff. I really believe in providing the case managers with the tools. And if you develop a supported lifestyle plan and show what your needs are based on a 24-hour day, and show them exactly what you need, then they've got something in writing to work with to be able to write up to either to support a certain amount of hours or not. They do have to work within their policies, but you have to also work within being able to express what your needs are. So, Greg, if we go back to this document is a great document. I'd be pleased to send that to anybody that would like a copy of that. Just send an email to info@ifrcsociety.org, and we'd be pleased to get you this document, okay? Because I think everyone should have access to that. So now we're talking about the support plan and start thinking about the support plan. So the number of hours, home support hours you receive depends on the level of your personal care needs. So you need to do a real thorough assessment of your own needs by breaking down the personal care needs down to the smallest components. And you should know that, when we're talking about personal care, we're talking about more of the intimate personal care. That is, the health authorities talk about very much. That's good right there, Greg. Thanks. The health authorities talk about that it's a subsidized program and that they only provide for the basic needs. So that means that and the reality is they're under the Ministry of Health side. So it is very much a medical-driven model system that we're in. And so, that means that they're very much interested in just doing the basic personal care components. So, getting you up in the morning, helping you wash your face, go to the bathroom, feed you, those kinds of things are personal care things that they can provide, uh, without too much trouble. But you need to be breaking down the personal care needs into the smallest components. So you'll see here on what Greg has put up for us, it's kind of the morning, right? So we suggest kind of working from your worst case scenario day. So you want to use kind of the benchmark of time based on your worst case scenario day. Again, focusing on the personal care, which could include housekeeping and meal preparation, but they should be connected to the personal care. So, for example, um, if you're having a shower, for example, um, you know, uh, the health authorities these days are so confined with money and stuff right now that generally they only want to provide a shower 1 or 2 days a week. You need to be able to, if you feel that you need a shower every day, is not just you can't just put down that you're having a shower every day just because you want to have a shower every day. There needs to be a medical need to why you need to have a shower every day. Um, in this particular example, it talks about assisting with bathing daily. This person needs a bath every day due to night sweats. And so that's why, he needs to shower every day. And there's other reasons that are identified in this particular example. So, you know, each time task that you write down. So let me just back up a step and say, in the morning, what we recommend you doing is think about from the time you wake up to what are all of the tasks that need to be done all morning. So don't worry about the right side where it looks at the time, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and 50 minutes. Deal with that later. Start by just going through your day and think about all of the personal care needs that is being done for you. And think about, if it's your family member that's doing it, if it's you, your Carrie that's doing it, definitely want to write it down step by step. And the more detail that you can write, the better. So, typically a transfer, for example, if your transfer takes a lot longer than the average transfer, you might want to write down more detail of what is in the transfer so that when the case manager comes and they normally maybe, let's say, allow 10 minutes for doing a transfer, but yours you say takes 15 minutes or 20 minutes, then you need to actually have what is the breakdown of what you're doing to why it does it. Is it that your leg has a muscle spasm during the transfer? Do you have significant pain during the transfer and need to stop? What are the reasons why that particular task takes longer? So keep that in mind when you're developing your support plan. And I would recommend that, again, once you go through your morning routine, then we would suggest doing morning, then afternoon, then evening, and then overnight. And then what you would do is then do what you call the non-daily component. So, Greg, as you go down here, so we've got kind of the morning, kind of where literally, as you can see, so you can see transfer to wheelchair. This person takes 20 minutes, so they kind of go through the steps, right? So you can kind of see this is a very detailed plan. A lot of people say, well, this is very personal. I mean, I just noticed bowel movements going by. You mean I have to talk about pooping or, that kind of stuff? Yes, you do. You do need to talk about if you need a suppository and, and what is the process in regards to doing your bowel routines, those kinds of things. So it's also recommended, so you kind of got your morning, your afternoon, your evening, your overnight. And overnights, you need to think about those the rolling over at night. How many times do you need to be rolled over? Why do you need to be rolled over? Are you being rolled over because of pain? Are you being rolled over because of pressure sores? Is it is for skin integrity? Is it for what is the purpose? And then and have you considered getting a hospital bed that can roll you over? And a lot of people would say, well, those mattresses, those beds cost $10,000. I really don't have $10,000 for one of those beds. Other people talk about, those beds would be great, but it doesn't move my head, or it doesn't bend my leg for me, or it doesn't reposition the pillows. So, these are the kinds of things you have to think about when developing your support plan. And you want to do this carefully. And again, I would recommend that you would write down each detail of your day, and then have a caregiver look at it. You may want to do this over a few days as you think about your routines and stuff. Again, having family members to look at it with you and kind of go, hey, you missed this section, you missed that section. So, but I really harp on the support plan, because it's the tool that you use not just to negotiate your home support hours, but it is also the tool that you're going to use for everything. When you're wanting to do a job description, when you're looking to do an advertisement, when you're thinking about your caregiver and coming up with your contract about what is it that their job is going to be, it all kind of flows from the support plan. So taking the time and doing this right and spending the time to do it is a very important point to do. So once you've listed everything on the left side, is then when you go back and you start putting times to it. How long does it take? What we're seeing here. Somebody says, really, I have to put down blowing my nose, 2 times a day. It just depends on your particular needs, right? But it is really important to be able to look at all of these components, because they all add up. And 1 minute a day equals 30 minutes in a month, right? So think about that, right? So 1 minute personal care component adds up to 30 minutes in a month. So this will help in regards to your overall plan. On the CSIL program, first of all, in regards to getting hours, there's a lot of discussion within health authorities about tasks like housekeeping, doing the vacuuming, doing laundry, those kinds of things. If it's not connected to a medical need, quite often some of the housekeeping tasks won't get authorized. Having said that, if you have been authorized, using only as an example, to have a shower every day, and that you've come up with your medical reason why you need a shower every day, if you choose not to have a shower one day, on the CSIL program, you can utilize that time to take on a component that is important to you, right? So, I know for a lot of people, they come in with their electric wheelchair. It's been raining outside, they've been in the mud, and they come in and it gets all over their carpet, and when it dries up, they need an extra vacuum, for example. You can choose to take it from one area to use in another area, even though officially you weren't given an extra amount of time to do that vacuuming. On the CSIL program, you do have the right to move your hours around the way you want once you've been approved for those hours. Does that make sense? Am I saying that clear enough?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. That's awesome. And Paul,
Yeah.
just a reminder, we are at 7 o'clock right now.
Yes, I just wanted to give the heads up, but I really do think, Paul, just to jump in for a second, I think that's really important, and I like the fact that you've kind of reiterated that. I think, from what I'm hearing anyway, is that detail is really important in terms of getting what you need. So documenting everything and kind of keeping track of it will really get you what you need and lead to a more successful experience.
Thanks, Nate. So just to move on to the next component is that, what you want to do next. And Greg, if you take us down to the medical, so hang on. So sorry, I should just say the non-daily. So, if you slide down a little bit, doing exercise 3 times a week, maybe the cleaning of wheelchair that I was just saying, maybe that gets done once a week. So what you would do is you would average it out. So if it takes 10 minutes to wash your wheelchair down, you would divide that by 7 to get, 1 minute, 1 minute a day, right, kind of thing. So we can again share examples of supported lifestyle plans with everybody. You can just ask us for that, and you can just email us for that, okay? But if you go down a little bit further, Greg, to the list of medical issues, and I think this is a really important component that kind of helps, people, people connect your medical issues that you may have with the personal care, and then it helps the case manager understand what might be happening with you medically as well. So, if you are having constipation, that may understand to why you may need to transfer onto your commode chair a couple of times a day to have a bowel movement. If you have a rash, on your leg and you need special cream, it kind of understand now why you need to, either have the showers a day or just put on special cream. So connecting the medical issue with your personal care is really important. The other thing that you want to think about too is being prepared to communicate about your family members. If you happen to still be living at home, be ready to speak about your family members and are they able to help you in any way in regards to some of your personal supports. If they're not able to help you with your personal supports, being able to describe why they cannot, are they working, are they elderly, are they what are the reasons why they can't provide care. And that's something you want to be prepared for when speaking with your case manager, so you can be able to talk about that. Greg, you can go back to the PowerPoint if you like. Really just being prepared to talk about things so that you can have an open discussion about that with your case manager, and be able to put some thought to it. Just a few more points, and that is around, because once you've developed your support plan, you want to then arrange a meeting with your case manager, and this is when you want to present your support plan and to be able to let them know how many hours you feel that you need. Be prepared that it is a negotiation at this point, that they very much will present to you a number that in regards to the amount of hours that they're able to provide. If indeed that those numbers are not what you're looking for, you do have the right to appeal that decision, and there's a process for appealing that decision. And would love to cover so many things in this webinar. We can only deal with so many things. So if people really want to know more about the appeal process, I can definitely do that in another episode. I should just also mention that they will do what Mike said was a time task analysis, and there'll be a form that they fill out, and they also fill out what we call an inter-RI form, which kind of goes through kind of your physical abilities, your mental abilities and stuff, and they will go through quite a long document with you. You also want to be prepared for the possibility of the case manager talking about other options, especially when you're asking for more like 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day. Quite often, an extended care facility comes up in the discussion. Group homes become discussed, and you just need to be prepared to talk about if that's an option for you and if you're interested in looking in that, or to be really clear that that's not an option for you. They'll be talking about Meals on Wheels, for your meals, and you need to be able to talk about does that work for you or not. They'll talk about volunteers, and is it possible that some volunteers can help? What about friends or family? And you need to be prepared to why that could work for you or why it will not work for you. The most we can provide is 4 hours a day. That is something we talked about earlier. And then, our health authority doesn't have as much money as others. Sometimes does come up into this, depending on what region you're in. And, you should be prepared too that they may request you to perform some of your personal care in front of them so that they can see how long it takes. And I know that sounds pretty shocking to some of you that they would want to do that, but that is part of their process. Can you refuse to do that? You can. You need to be able to discuss what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. But most case managers, I would say, are very respectful during that process, and you need to just be clear about the parameters, and you would want to communicate what those parameters are going to be. And we've seen some people look around your home and stuff, so be aware that that's something that does happen. So meeting with your case manager, again, you're contacting them. Be prepared to educate some case managers on the CSIL program. Some may not be as aware of the program as others. The CSIL, the case manager does need to support your request to go on to the program, and to be prepared that a reassessment of hours may occur at the point of requesting to go on to the CSIL program. As you know, this can happen every year for home support. If you have had a chance to review the education modules on our website, to please do that, because that will help your case in regards to going on to the program, because they would like to see you taking initiative to have really been able to see this. And again, telling them that you were at the Munster Dystrophy Canada webinar and got an education on the CSIL program there. These are all good things that can be added to your letter, which I'm going to ask Greg to turn to the next one. And
I just wanted, yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
I just wanted to say I read those education modules a while back, and they are really well written. They're easy to read, and they're good. A lot of good information.
Great, Greg. Thanks. And here's so please do take in those. A lot of work went into those modules. That's for sure. Here's an example of a letter. You don't have to go on and on and on about, your agency experience if it happened to be a negative one. Get right to the point to why you would want to get on to the program. And if you've got any experience at all of managing it all, you would want to put that into your letter. And again, if you've had an opportunity to read through putting that into your letter would be helpful. And that will just kind of help a case manager realize that you've taken the initiative to kind of get as informed as possible about the CSIL program. So I'm really hoping that today has been helpful in regard to the process of starting the application to go on to the CSIL program. A lot of people think that, getting right into talking about the program and how it works and being an employer and stuff, but if you don't have the right amount of hours and if you don't have the support plan already prepared, you'd be starting off on the wrong foot. So being able to get the appropriate amount of hours and to also have a support plan that starts making you think about all of the components for later on is a key. So, you know, our next. So let's see here. So if you back up one there, Greg.
I think it's not the latest, but it's actually March 17th from 6 to 7.
Oh, thank you very much, Greg. So
Thanks, Greg.
March 17th, 6 to 7 is our next one. And I don't know, Nate, do you want me to say what that's going to be, or do you want to what we're going to discuss?
I'll leave that to you, and then I'll maybe close up, but feel free.
Okay, great. So our next session is how do you program? We'll talk about what you need to succeed on the program in your quest to live independently. So we're going to be dealing with the employer package, CSIL contracts, job descriptions, employment contracts, employee guidelines, advertising, interview, and much, much more. So kind of the nuts and the bolts. We're not going to get a chance to go into so much detail about those, but we're going to touch upon all of these areas to kind of get the brain flowing of things that you'll have to be thinking about when starting to be there. So thanks for listening in today. I know Nate's going to close things up. It was really great to discuss the CSIL program. I love this program. It's changed my life. So many people. There's over 980 people on the CSIL program in the province of British Columbia. So you could be the next one if you're not on the program yet.
Yeah, so someone needs to come in and push us over the 1,000 mark.
Yeah, let's go.
That's awesome. Well, just to close up, guys, I just wanted to say thank you to Mike, Greg, and Paul for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate all of you being here and adding your knowledge and expertise as well as your experience. It's huge. I think it went really well as the fact that you guys really carried it for me because I was, unable to talk quite as much. But thank you so much to the viewers. If you have comments or thoughts, feel free to comment. That's how we know how well we did and what we can change, what we can do differently, all that sort of stuff. Please do join us for March 17th for the Success on CSIL, all that wonderful stuff Paul just talked about. Looking forward to that one for sure. From 6 to 7, same bat time, same bat channel. And take care out there, and see you next time.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.